What's up, Dream Team? It's your boy, I am Lucy. Back with another video. We're gonna break vibes, make vibes, say less. Alright, man, look. We're gonna be reacting to a real life Squid Game. Like, Squid Game was based on a real story, bro. I never knew that. I don't know if y'all knew that. I never knew that. I'm just waking up, man. I ain't gonna fucking brush my jibs yet. I'm waking up talking about Squid Game was real life. So I'm here doing a reaction to Squid Game in real life called Brotherly Home, I think. It's a part 1 and part 2, but I'm gonna go part 2 because it's more like detailed. I think it's more like, because I didn't see it, but I see the picture. It's more like Squid Game. So we're gonna reaction to it. We're gonna be reacting to it, man. Sit down, get your drinks, get your smokes. If you're here, like and subscribe. If you're new here, like and subscribe. Yeah, let's get into it.
1970s and 80s, the brothers' home in South Korea was a brutal internment camp, disguised as a welfare facility. Thousands, including the homeless, political protesters, and children, were forcibly sent there. They endured forced labor, abuse, and many vanished without a trace. Known as Korea's Auschwitz, it symbolized the harsh dictatorship of the time. Squid Game echoes this dark history. Like the brothers' home, it shows how desperate people are manipulated and forced into deadly situations for survival. Both stories reveal a terrifying truth. When survival is the only option, people are pushed to the edge, and humanity is lost. These stories serve as chilling reminders of the inhumane forces that can arise in societies where power and control are unchecked, and how easily people can become pawns in a game they never chose to play. The tragic truth is that the system, whether in real life or in fiction, treats people as disposable commodities. The suffering, exploitation, and loss of life at the brothers' home highlight the extreme measures that oppressive regimes can take to maintain control. Squid Game serves as a fictional reflection of this, where people are forced to play deadly games for money and survival. But the real-life horrors of the brothers' home were far from a game. They were a living nightmare. These stories remind us of the fragility of human rights and the terrifying consequences when they are violated.
That was it? That was it? No, that can't be it, bro. That shit was a minute short, bro. Like, I know it's more to that than just that. You feel me? Let me see. Squid Game. Real life. Like, nobody got a documented real life story. I'll say real life story. Like, nobody got a documentary on this shit, bro.
Life. This is a movie, and this is real life.
This dark history of South Korea was something that not a lot of people knew about, and the forgotten story just resurfaced recently in the last few years. Did you know that a concentration camp called the South Korea's Holocaust, or the real-life Squid Games-like area actually existed? And this is hopefully the last known dark camps, at least in South Korea. The story only became public and the public was outraged because of these famous documentaries 꼬꼬무, 그것이 알고 싶다, and took on this story to find victims who never talked about this for over 25 years. It will shock you of how these places that you seem like you hear from World War II days in Auschwitz happen also in South Korea. And of course, to make these videos and take my full time researching these cases and to present it to you guys, I haven't shaved in a hot minute. Oh God. To make these videos possible, I really want to say thank you to today's partner, Harry's. And yes, I'm looking hairy today. Harry's shaver is the only shaver that I use because it is so affordable yet high quality. And let me just show you guys my shaving routine. These premium German engineered shavers does not compare to those cheap ones that you get and you just throw it out. It goes really close to the hair root so that you have a clean shave. I use this everywhere, arms, armpits, legs, including bikini line. And I can't do my bikini line without this. The grip especially is really nice and it's made from 50% recycled plastic. The foaming shave gel is also great for sensitive skin. It includes aloe and hyaluronic acid that your skin will love. You get a 5 on the partner too. He was just a kid, so this is a little 12-year-old named Chung back in 1982. He was just a kid, so bright, super smart in school. During tests, he would always get first or at least second place. A very good listener and even took care of his sick mother by making food for her. Something that might have been such a big task for a 12-year-old. But he did it anyways because he was the son of the family and the son was all that this family had. But one day in 1982, it was getting late and Chung never returned home. Come to find out, Chung ended up going to the nearby city with a neighborhood ajashi. Of course, being like 12 and you're going to the city, you were fascinated by a lot of things. There's a lot of things to watch, to eat. He was at the arcade room and it was such a great day for him until the neighborhood man just left him alone for a second when 2 policemen approached him and asked him, "Why are you here? Are you alone?" The policeman told him, "Come with us to the police office. We're going to take you home." And of course, being 12 years old, naive, and thinking that these are policemen, obviously I could trust them, he ended up following them to the station. Little did he know that this would change his life forever. From then on, time to time, children would just go missing, vanished without a trace. This is Miss Lee, and in 1983, she was just 7 years old. Her little brother and herself were out, and again the police would approach them and they just followed. After being in the police station for a couple hours, they told them that they would take them home, and as soon as they left the station there was a white van waiting for them. I mean, legit, starting from the van, it really reminded me of the movie, because in the movie, you know, you had these secret vans that would just take people and they would vanish without a trace. These kids were then forced into the dark van with no explanation, and they realized they weren't alone. There were many other kids and adults and people just mixed, shoved into this tiny van. When they got to these unknown locations, from here, this is when hell started. Of course, if not all, like a lot of the kids were screaming and crying and telling them like, "Where am I? I want to go home." But the minute you would cry, question, or complain, the guards would viciously start beating these kids up. When they entered this mysterious building, the victims claimed that it really looked like a prison cell. There was heavy steel doors that only locked from the outside, and inside of these long rooms were rows and rows of bunk beds. It was enough to fit at least from 80 to 100 people. Like, again, do you see like a little bit of the coincidences? Even more shockingly, they noticed that everybody was wearing the same uniforms, and the uniform color was blue with stripes on it. They were also forced to shave all their heads. Nobody can have long hair, and they were stripped of their name. And their identity. Now they were being called by numbers. They had to respond to the command officers as if they were in the military, and there were also divisions like in the military. One woman who was only 7 at the time when she was taken away even remembers that there were kids and babies younger than her. After changing their clothes, they went to bed for the night. Of course, I'm sure
they was kidnapping people?
could probably sleep that day. And at 5 a.m. sharp, the alarms started to ring. Everyone started to walk outside. Of course, Chung Chung and these kids who arrived, like they weren't told anything to what to do and they just had to follow what everybody else was doing, those people that were there before they arrived. When they went outside, those new kids, new people that arrived were so shocked because it wasn't just them here, it was literally thousands and thousands of people with the same uniforms just standing outside, and they had to form like a specific line. They realized it wasn't just kids, but mix of adults, including elders. And these are some real photos of how these camps look like. I mean, it's legit straight out of a horror movie, like rows and rows of the same exact replica of these buildings. These buildings were also barricaded by high concrete walls. And on top of that, even if you tried to escape, there would be guards standing within each other, barricading the whole area. As you could see, the
whole water system and everything.
Again,
They gotta have to be funded.
How that
whoever owned that shit gotta have some
hidden
money.
in the woods like that. These areas were hidden deep, and you would literally have to go hunting or know the forest area in order to catch this place. The crazy thing is, this area was like a little town. They had factories, a church, schooling, a barber place, and even like a bathing area. And of course, later we will find out this isn't the only location. There were a couple different locations throughout South Korea. When there would be commands, these people would all of a sudden like salute, sing certain anthems, and of course these new people who arrived, they weren't instructed to do anything. If they didn't follow or didn't know what to do, they would automatically get a beating. They didn't care if there was anything off rhythm or you decided to resist. There would be severe punishments. One man says that they were also given only 30 toothbrushes for 120 people to all share. They also received this one clothing to wear throughout the whole year. Now, these people's daily task was to do pretty much forced labor throughout the whole day. There was many facilities and factories, and you see these photos, like these kids were the barber man. And one of the factories that Chung worked at was the fishing rod factory. He and many others were forced to work for long hours. And you're having kids like work in these complicated jobs and working with sharp needles and objects. I mean, he just went into detail about the horrific things that has happened, which I probably won't go into detail, but it's very similar to what you guys have heard about what happened in World War II concentration camps. Chung remembers at the end of the day, if you do not meet the production quantity that they assigned to you, everybody would again get severe punishment. He remembers his whole body just being bloody, and scabs became old ones, and they were cut again and again due to the punishments. And this happened on a daily basis. It was total hell for everyone. They were also given very little food, and everyone was slim, super skinny. I mean, nobody had nutrition in their body.
How much money do you think you've earned just today?
I've earned about 150.
150 just today. All right, so how much money do you think is coming to your bank account today?
Like $300.
300, okay. How'd you earn that?
I literally just won it on the app, Tester app.
Hold up, so you won all of that just in an app?
Yeah, there's 300 different puzzle games. You play it, test it, and earn money. Cash out at 70 bucks.
Huh?
That's freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, check it out. I've been putting all my boys on.
Definitely checking that out now.
Download Tester Up right now.
My friend recently asked me for some money and I was like, why aren't you using Empower? When I need cash and my paycheck is gone, I just use Empower, and you should too. They can send you up to $300 instantly, so you and your friends can enjoy the moment without worrying about borrowing money from anyone else. Plus, with no late fees, no interest, and they don't do any credit checks, it's stress-free, and my payments are scheduled for my next payday, so I don't have to worry about keeping track. And because I always look at reviews, they're a top-rated app with over 300,000 5-star reviews. So if you need instant cash just like us, download Empower today and get approved for a cash advance. Now, stop worrying because Empower has your back.
Even remember, some had to eat whatever they can find, including rats that they found. Now, there was also even a female section, and even worse, there were a lot a lot of assaults. When
I
females
think it was a
get
good society
pregnant, they
for
remember
people to
these
take people
doctors
that have
coming
no
in
homes.
and
At the
injecting
same
them
time,
with unknown substances.
motherfuckers forgot
and
about them
witnesses say
people.
that all of a sudden, like throughout
You know what I'm saying?
couple
Niggas
days, the
felt
female
like
that
they
was pregnant
didn't care about them people,
would no
right? So them
longer have
fucking
their
guards
baby.
was just
And
taking
assaults
advantage.
did not just
Whoever
happen
owned
to
that shit was
females,
just taking
it also
advantage, bro.
happened to males as well. And there's these drawings of what the victims remember and what they had to go through. And these details of what the victims had to endure is so graphic that, you know, they themselves also, most of them don't talk about it because it is horrific. So what was this place? What is this random hell place? Why were all these people being gathered? Was it really like for fun and games? And why did no one know about it or try to save these people? So it turns out this place was called 형제복지원, or Brothers Welfare Center. It was supposed to be known to gather homeless people, people who didn't have a place to go, like didn't have families, aka people who were deemed unfit for society. It was the government's program giving these people a second chance, sweeping them off the streets, including like disabled people, and putting them into this welfare center where they are supposed to have jobs, they have an education, they go to church, you know, they get food. It was advertised on TV as this amazing place that the government gave as a second chance for those who had no homes. But 70% of these people that were put into these camps weren't people who were just homeless. They were like random people that the police or whoever would just force them in. This is Mr. Choi. He was taken at the age of 14 and he remembers the guards SA them in front of everybody. Like, these guards did not care. This happened in front of everybody during the time when they were supposed to go to sleep. He says that it was like a wild animal safari there. There was absolutely no humane part of this at all. And people did try to flee. There were many people who tried to flee, but they claimed that actually almost nobody was able to flee because the guards would catch them and soon they would find out their friend who tried to flee yesterday never came back. And that's because the punishment was often death. I think the saddest part about hearing the victims, Mr. Chung says that when, you know, all these things were happening to him, especially SA, he says that, you know, as an adult now, in a way feels shame. He feels shameful that he went through this when it wasn't at all his fault. Now, how about the disabled people who were taken there? What happened to them? And the witnesses claim that there was a zone where disabled people were put into, and they claim that this was literally a zombie zone. They called it the zombie zone, literally, because the disabled people were actually kept all drugged up. They were all in like a zombie-like state and they can't fend for themselves at all. 2 years like this passed and Chung now became 14 years old. Surprisingly, one day he noticed from far away a very familiar face, which was his own father. So parents of kids like Chung who all of a sudden went missing would be devastated, and when Chung's father found out that
shit like
his
prison.
father was gone for years, he leaned on alcohol. He could not go on with his life knowing that his son vanished and the police couldn't do anything about it. So Chung's father says that multiple times he went inside the police station, begged for his son to be found. But guess what? The police, looking at Mr. Chung's father and him being drunk and like screaming and yelling, he was also now considered unfit for the society and was forced into this camp. And this is Mr. Chung at 50 years old now talking about this incident for the first time. He admits that rather than feeling excited or welcome to meet his father there, he felt ashamed, embarrassed, and especially looking at his father who had aged so quickly, so much, within such a short time frame because of exhaustion. His youthful father was like no longer there. When nobody was looking.
Alright, man, that's the end of the video, man. It will be a part 2 to this video. I'm about to hop on R6, man. I gotta get my rank up. It's been a lot of fucking cheaters on there too, so they build my rank up like 3% on that shit. But yeah, it's gonna be a part 2 probably tomorrow. I'll probably drop it tomorrow. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that day. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I felt like these motherfuckers they said they was doing good under the praising God. But at the same time, y'all motherfuckers was doing bad shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? They took advantage of these people, man. I feel like it's so much shit. But we gonna get to the bottom of this shit. Part 2, man, it's coming out, man. Like, comment, subscribe if you're new, man. Like, comment, subscribe if you're here, man. And we gone, man. We don't break vibes, big vibes. Say less.